Hello, happy Monday. Welcome back to Stigma-Free Learning Live with the Stigma-Free Society. Thank you for joining me on this Monday. Welcome back. How have you been? I've been doing well. I'm still adjusting to being in a new city, so I'm in Victoria, BC now, for any of you who missed last week's live event. I moved here from Toronto recently, under a month ago still. Actually, just about a month ago now, so lots of life changes happening on my end. Thanks for asking. So thanks for joining me again today. And my name is Samara Liberman. I should say that earlier on, probably in my ramblings. I am the programs manager for the Stigma-Free Society and the host of this bi-weekly Facebook and YouTube live event where I talk you through some resources that we have on the Student Mental Health Toolkit. If you are new to the society, if you are new to this live event, I did do a tour of the toolkit on last week's live event, which is still up on our Facebook and YouTube. So if you'd like to see a tour of the toolkit, go check out that live event. It's from last week. Nope, sorry, not last week, the week before last week. This is bi-weekly. So I'm not going to do it again as I just did it the last time, but if you have missed it, go check it out because that'll be a really great way to learn about some of our resources, understand what the toolkit is a little bit more, and yeah, I hope you watch that. I hope you go back in time and watch last time's and then jump back in and watch today's. So thank you for joining me. I think I've said that 3 times now. I'm just grateful to have you here. You know, it's really great to have viewership. Anytime I see that new people have watched or see that people have watched or interacted with the videos, it just makes me feel really good. It makes me feel like I'm putting out something that people want to see. So if you are watching, please give the video a like or leave me a comment, engage with it in some way so that I know you're there. And yeah. So without further ado, I'm going to do my usual spiel for anyone who's new. So that is just to give you a little bit of background on the Stigma-Free Society, a little bit of background on me, and then we will dive into the lesson for today. So again, my name is Samara. The gender pronouns that I use are she and her, and I have a background in education. I have a master's in teaching. I also have a professional development certification in early years mental health and a bachelor's degree in equity studies. So lots of educational things that overlap and intertwine and intersect, and that have led me to this role with the Stigma-Free Society, which is over a decade old Canadian registered charity. And the work that we do is to reduce stigma of all kinds, but we focus specifically, that was a hard word. We focus specifically on the stigma around mental health. So mental health and mental illness, and we also acknowledge that there's lots of intersections between other forms of stigma and mental health. So lots of equity stuff going on, lots of mental health stuff going on. So if that is of interest to you, if any of the work that we do seems to excite you or you want to get involved, you can always reach out to us. So we have a contact us form on both the toolkit and our main Stigma-Free Society website. We love to engage with the folks that use our materials, so please leave us some feedback or ask us a question, or, you can also gain full access to the Student Mental Health Toolkit by simply requesting full access. I said that last time, and we also have our rule toolkit. That's not something I've talked about on this live event. This is obviously a live event that is focused on the student toolkit, but we do have a toolkit for rural communities. So if you are living in a rural community or you're an educator in a rural community, we know that is a very underserved population for mental health resources. So ruralmentalwellnesstoolkit.com is where you can find that resource, and it kind of overlaps with the student toolkit in terms of, folks living in rural communities might be struggling with their mental health and need those resources, and that also connects to people who work in rural communities in schools. So lots of overlap, lots of content. We also have a blog. We have articles that go up on the rural toolkit. Lots of stuff going on. Check out our social media. Stigma-Free Society on all platforms. Check us out. Now I'm just rambling and plugging all of our stuff. So, but I'm gonna just dive into the lesson for today. So, if you are new to this live event, the purpose of it is not just for me to ramble and plug the Stigma-Free Society's content. It is also to talk you through a resource on the Student Mental Health Toolkit. So to this point, I've been doing only lesson plans, and I'm going to continue to do them until I run out of lesson plans to do, and then I will switch to other resources that we have. So today we have another lesson for you, and it's for grades 8 to 12. Last time it was a grade 4 lesson. This time it's grade 8 to 12. So if you are a high school educator, check out this lesson plan. So on the Student Mental Health Toolkit, which is studentmentalhealthtoolkit.com, very easy to find. If you go to the grades 8 to 12 side of the toolkit, so the teen section, you will find this lesson. And the curriculum areas are health and physical education and social studies. So all of our lessons are organized by curriculum area. So if you click the little drop-down button, you will find all of them listed under both. And it is a cross-curricular lesson, as they all are. So you'll find it under both social studies and health and physical education. And the lesson topic for today is how to be a mental health advocate. So a really cool topic, I think. I mean, I picked it, so I obviously think it's cool and very relevant. So let's dive in without further ado. So breaking down stigma around mental health often involves advocacy. Whether we're speaking up for ourselves or someone else, being a mental health advocate is extremely important. As it notes in the lesson, when we understand how to speak up against injustice, we can make systemic change, which can improve not only our circumstances, but the experiences of others as well. So this lesson is really great to kind of tie in advocacy on a more broad scale to advocacy specifically around mental health. So we can be advocates for ourselves and others in many, many ways, but this lesson focuses on how to advocate for ourselves and others when it comes to our mental health, our mental wellness. So through this lesson, your students will choose a mental health related cause that they can get involved in and do some advocacy work for. They will discuss what being an advocate means to them, and to learn from a young person who is doing some amazing mental health advocacy work through an empowering TED Talk. So they will watch the TED Talk, they will learn a little bit about the student in question's advocacy work, and then hopefully that inspires them to do some advocacy work of their own, because that is what they will have to do for this lesson. So hopefully they're inspired to do it, but either way, they will be doing it. So as I mentioned, the curriculum areas are the health and physical education curriculum and social studies. So health and physical education, I use it a lot. It ties really well into the discussion of mental health. So the competency that is particularly relevant for the lesson today is describe and assess strategies for promoting mental well-being for self and others. That's a very relevant competency for this lesson, but obviously there are others as well that are really relevant in the health and physical education curriculum. And then for the social studies curriculum, the competencies within there speak to ethics and beliefs and morals and worldview, so lots around advocacy. So that's how that is relevant to today's lesson. So social studies and health and physical education. So the video that you're going to have your students watch is a really great TED Talk on the topic of prioritizing mental health in schools. Through this video, your students will get to see firsthand what mental health advocacy looks like from someone who is their own age. So the speaker in this TED Talk is a young person who is a mental health advocate, and it just ties in perfectly to the content of the lesson and is really inspiring. So the guiding questions that you can use to spark a discussion after showing the students the video is, according to this video, why are mental health breaks important? How did Haley, who is the speaker in the video, become a mental health advocate? What does advocacy mean to you? Why is advocacy work important? How did advocacy impact the community that Haley was in? And how did it impact her own life? So next you're going to kind of go back to the beginning of this, which is just to define advocacy for your students. So some students may know this word, some students may not. So you can share this definition with them to make sure that everyone's on the same page and we all know what it means, which is advocacy is defined as any action that speaks in favor of, recommends, argues for a cause, supports, or defends or pleads on behalf of others. Lots of words. It's a very wordy definition, but it's the best one I could find. So not only can you be an advocate for others, but you can also be an advocate for yourself. speaking up for yourself and asking for what you need to be successful is a form of advocacy. So that is speaking up for your mental health needs, for your education needs. So if you need more help with school, that's a way of advocating for yourself. It can be advocating for yourself against racism and sexism and anything that is like a systemic issue in our society. So advocation. Is that a word? Yeah, I think it is. Oh my goodness. It's important to know that you can be an advocate for yourself as well as other people. I think we often think of an advocate as like, I'm advocating on behalf of someone else, but we can also be advocates for ourselves. And I think that's a really important point to drive home with this lesson. So this can occur in small ways like asking for more time on a test or setting boundaries with someone who is treating you poorly. That's also a form of advocacy for yourself. And it can also be in big ways like participating in a protest for social justice. So have your students reflect on this definition to get them thinking more deeply about what advocacy is and what advocacy looks like. Split them up into groups and have them do a quick mind map about this term. So have them write advocacy in big letters in the circle in the middle, and then they can have circles branching off of all the things that make them think about, that they think about when they think about the word advocacy. So when they're done this, have them share their mind maps with the rest of the class. So like I said, that definition is kind of wordy, and this is a really great way for your students to ground their concept of this term in a way that kind of is relevant for them and makes sense to them. So mind mapping is a really great kind of way of brainstorming ideas and coming up with collective definitions. So for the active part of the lesson, inform your students that they will be researching some mental health related causes that they can get involved in. Then they will actively engage in advocacy work. This can look like it did for Haley, where they will find a cause that they believe in and create a campaign from the ground up. Or it can be as simple as writing a letter to a local member of parliament about something that they feel passionate about. So advocacy doesn't have to be this like big, like starting a charity or like, doing all this grassroots work from the ground up and like doing their own thing. It can be joining an organization that's already doing incredible work, promoting an organization that's doing great work, or writing a letter to the editor, or, like I said, writing like a letter to a member of parliament, just something to speak up for themselves. It can also be as simple as like going to the principal and talking to them about ways that they can incorporate mental health into their school a little bit more, or doing that within their classroom environment. Lots of entry points here for them. So like I said, they can also join a local group doing advocacy work in their community. If they want to get more involved in the work that we do at Stigma-Free, they can become a Stigma-Free school or start a Stigma-Free club at their school. So a little bit of self-promotion here, but we do this work of advocacy and promoting good mental health for everyone. So if they're interested in the work that we're doing, they can explore our resources a little bit more and, create a club or, get a Stigma-Free school designation for their school. Give them lots of time to do this. This can take many directions, and like I said, there's a lot of ways that they can kind of approach this. So give them the freedom to find something that they're passionate about and figure out how they want to make a difference. So I think this is a really great, very personal one that they can do, and encourage them to take it very personally and to make it about them or someone else that they are close to. I think we've all been touched by mental illness or mental health challenges, even if it's not our personal challenge. We might have a sibling or a friend or a family member or, anyone that we know, someone we know has experienced mental health challenges. So if it's not necessarily personal for them, make it personal for them to be advocating for someone that they're close to. So once they've had time to engage in advocacy work in some way, have them reflect on their experience as a class. Here are some questions that you can use to spark discussion. How did advocating for the mental health of others make you feel? Do you think any concrete change will come of your advocacy work? Do you feel inspired to continue advocating for yourself and others in this way? So that's the lesson kind of in a nutshell. I hope you found this helpful. I really like this lesson. I think it's really relevant. I think mental health is on the forefront of our minds a lot these days, especially for young people. I think like Haley speaks to in the video, there's a lot of challenges that young people face, and we need to be finding ways to promote mental wellness, support their mental health within the school environment, and also just in their lives in general. So finding ways that they can advocate for themselves and advocate for their peers is a really great start to that process. So thank you for joining me. I hope you use this lesson in your classrooms. If you do, let me know. I'd love to hear feedback from educators who have used our resources. I find that helpful and motivating to kind of keep plugging away at creating this content. Leave me a comment, leave me some feedback on this live event, ways that I can improve it, ways that I can, make it more relevant for you or more, whatever, however I can support you. Let me know, please. I'm really here to help. I'm here to advocate for you. Tying it all back together. Anyway, I'm done rambling now. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in 2 weeks for another Stigma-Free Learning